Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I think Halo is missing, that could really add to the Halo experience in air quotes. This, as you can tell by the title, is a Horde mode. Now, Halo's history with Horde modes really isn't that compelling in my opinion. ODST first introduced Firefight, which, although I didn't play it that much, I thought was kind of a good start. It was really basic, with weapons scattered around the map, waves and sets of enemies spawning, basic weapon drops after killing these enemies, and skill multipliers that amped the difficulty up every 5 rounds or so. It also helped that you were playing as an ODST, which gave you this sort of heightened sense of vulnerability that you don't get when you play as a Spartan. Then Reach came along and added like 9 billion layers of customizability to Firefight, and also the ability to share your customized game modes on the file browser with friends and other players, which was a really cool addition. But overall, Reach Firefight, and just Firefight in general, just felt like there was something missing. It was just a simple point-and-shoot survival game mode with no economy, on very small subsections of campaign missions which were ever so slightly altered to fit survival. Reach's additions of preset classes were a nice addition and did add a little bit of variety, but overall you really just played the map mostly in the same way, no matter if you were spawning as an operator with a shotgun or a marksman with a DMR. You really played the maps very similarly, just hunting the battalions of enemies down that spawned, and then going back to the spawn to restock ammo, and then going back out. It's pretty two-dimensional, but the customization was a very nice little addition. Then Halo 5 came along with Warzone Firefight, and honestly, this is a genuine question. What is it? It's not exactly a Horde mode. I'd probably classify it more as a raid with a simple kind of janky economy. Honestly, Warzone Firefight didn't really do much for me. The enemies on the most part were just bullet sponges, and it's pretty repetitive. But then again, no Firefight iteration has ever really done anything for me, because like I said, I felt like they're all missing something to make them compelling and interesting. So, why does Halo need a Horde mode, and what does it need to improve on to better its recent attempts? Well, there are two particular Horde modes that have so much replayability that they've quite literally defined the game they're a part of. The first of which is actually sort of an oddball: Killing Floor. Now, I'll be honest, right? I don't have that much experience with the Killing Floor series. My boy Late Night Gaming, who's basically my BFF right now, I never thought I'd fucking say that word, gifted me Killing Floor 2 the other day, and after playing a little bit of it, I found out why the devs managed to build an entire game around a single game mode: simple replayability. Basic features make each map dynamic and different with every single playthrough. Each map is chock full of different holdout areas, and the AI have dynamic spawn locations, unlike in Firefight, where they just spawn in the same place every single time. These two features alone spawn tons of different styles of gameplay. You can choose to either A, set up camp in a room with 1 or 2 players watching each door, choosing to even weld some of the doors shut and temporarily block the entrance if you want to, and take down each enemy variant as they pour in. Or B, you can keep on the move, constantly moving around the map, staying on your feet, killing the zombies and test subjects as they chase you, and of course, due to the dynamic spawning, they'll continue to spawn in your vicinity even if you're moving. They'll always keep attracted to you. These two features alone solve some of Firefight's biggest problems. The AI spawning in the same place every time is quite frankly boring, because it's so predictable and you can just grenade the floor where they're going to spawn or get a rocket launcher ready. It just makes it too easy. and also having them spawn dynamically would really play into Halo's always on the move gameplay that Bungie and 343 have defined so well. The map interaction that links in with being able to create your own holdout spots as well would make each map so much more replayable, because every time you play one map, you could find different holdout locations and block and open up certain entrances and funnel the AI down certain entrances, etc, etc. It adds so many more layers of replayability. However, all of this would require the AI that you're fighting to be primarily running at you, and currently the opposite is the case for all iterations of Firefight. You're always the one hunting down the enemies. You never actually get this feeling of playing a Horde mode, because the enemies that you're fighting against never behave like a Horde. The only real exception, maybe, is Promethean crawlers in Warzone Firefight, but even then, you have to actually locate them. They don't come to you. This is why I believe the best way for Firefight to become an established, compelling Horde mode is by using the Flood as the main enemy. I mean, seriously, they are the perfect fit for it, and they're literally screaming out to be used in a round-based survival Horde mode, but I'm going to talk about that more later. So, moving on to the second Horde mode that Firefight should take some real inspiration from to better itself, and I guarantee you guys have guessed it already. It's something that I've been a fan of massively for almost 9 years now. Holy shit, 9 years, it's been that long, holy shit. It's the gaming thing that I love just a little bit less than Halo for obvious reasons. So much so that I even own real life perk bottles, and I think it's hands down the most popular and also iconic iteration of the Horde mode, Zombies. Now, I've watched and played Zombies as it's gone through this transition from just a simple little Easter egg mode played in a tiny cutout section of a campaign mission in World at War, to it getting an entire narrative designed for itself, entirely new maps designed specifically for it, weapons, characters, enemies, pretty much everything under the sun. It's safe to assume that Zombies is pretty much Call of Duty's new defining feature, now that a majority seemed burnt out with its hyper-repetitive multiplayer, which doesn't surprise me at all. These features have also created a community on YouTube, on Reddit, on various forums, for one specific mode that is bigger than 99% of AAA games communities. But how did it manage such a feat, and what can Firefight learn from it? Firstly, its economy. Similar to Killing Floor, you get points for kills, more or less depending on how you kill the zombie or the boss, and you can then go and spend these points on pretty much anything under the sun, ranging from simply opening a door to perks and enhancements in the form of drinks, weapons and ammo off the walls, ingenious traps ranging from electric to chains to a fucking fidget spinner. And if you really want to, you can spin the random box for a chance to get a wonder weapon, the best weapons in the game, or if you're unlucky, you'll get some shitty rocket launcher or sniper or something. All these variables, simply tied into the in-game economy, add so much replayability to each map. The ability to keep certain doors closed can create entirely new holdout spots, and the ability to open whatever door you want can create certain paths that you can run on and have zombies chase you, meaning that every game you survive in a different way, and you can use your points however you want. Want to be a tank early on? Buy Juggernog. Want to one-hit zombies until round 9? Buy a Bowie knife and upgrade your melee. All of these things tied to merely the points that you get for killing zombies spawn almost infinite methods of play, something that Firefight really doesn't have, for me at least. The second feature is its narrative. Now, this has increasingly become Zombies' selling point. As the first couple maps released, starting mostly with Shinonuma, there began to be pieces of a backstory as to why the zombies exist, hidden implicitly within the map. For example, there'd be things like burning pieces of paper hidden within the floor that gave you information about one of the characters or one of the locations. This was really kicked into overdrive in Black Ops 1, where parts of the map were interactable, and they sparked these sort of quests, or Easter eggs as they're now known, that gave this exposition and details about the story, along with even hints for the next map. This is a fantastic and genius way to create a compelling story for a mode that, unlike the campaign, isn't created with its first priority being a story. And the funny thing is, ODST already did this. Remember Sadie's story, where you could find a phone or something implicitly placed within the map, and when you interacted with it, it gave you a piece of a narrative that underlay the overall story? That was fantastic, and something like that within a Firefight map would be amazing. I've watched it do absolute wonders to zombies, to the point where I'm almost as invested in the zombie storyline as I am in Halo's. It's been going on for so long, and so much just crazy mind-warping shit has happened that it's hard to not be a fan of it. The reason I think this would work so well, possibly even better with Halo, is that its universe is so deep, and there's so many stories and characters and organizations in Halo's universe that simply don't have the time to be explored or even involved with the main story, but would slot so well into something like this. Just imagine if there was an underlying narrative, the pieces of which you discovered by doing Easter egg quests and finding things hidden within the map, that covered only corruption, that thing that everyone was so hyped for in Halo 5 that we never got, and maybe even their hyper-corrupt grey area experimentation with bioweapons that went wrong. Imagine a map in an Oni facility where you were defending from wave after wave of the Flood, and you uncover through the Easter egg quest that Oni were testing Flood cures on humans, and that, of course, quite clearly, these cures didn't work, and they caused the outbreak in the facility. So instead of curing the Flood, they enhanced them. Imagine the community playing this Horde mode just like a regular Horde mode for a few days after it came out, just seeing how long they could survive, or finding the best holdout spots, until one person finds a trigger within the map, acting as the first step of this Easter egg, and it spans an entire community-wide effort to solve it, and when they do, they realise there's actually a story hidden within this mode, and that the following maps, if they choose to do so, will continue this story about Oni corruption and their messing around with the Flood and experimentations. Hell, it could even feed into the main storyline at some point. That is, if the mode and story was well received. It would have to take pretty good reception for it to fit into Halo's main story, but it could do. The bottom line in regards to the narrative is that implicitly inserting a story into a mode that seems like it's just there for the gameplay, and making this story require manual effort to find, adds so much replayability. And if the actual act of sort of finding the pieces of the story and completing the quest are that fun, then the Easter eggs themselves will spawn even more replayability. They have done for me with zombies. I love just getting on and trying to solve the Easter eggs solo. It's a really fun thing to do whilst also trying to survive. Oh, and another thing worth noting is that Zombies isn't the only game to do this. Killing Floor does something very, very similar with its lore, where there's data pieces hidden within the map that give you lore about the certain characters and zombies and specimens. Overall, it's just a really, really, really good way to put a story into a mode that doesn't have telling a story as its main priority. So, let's finish by talking about one last thing. Nothing to do with any other game, just something within Halo that I think would far improve Firefight: the enemies. Right now, just fighting the Covenant and Prometheans doesn't fit a Horde mode, in my opinion. They don't act or behave or fight like a Horde at all. That, and also the balancing of the enemies, isn't compatible with spawning them over and over again in large numbers. They just aren't built with that in mind. Fighting hundreds of elites just isn't fun, because they aren't supposed to be fought in large numbers. You know what is supposed to be fought in large numbers, and what does act like a Horde? The Flood. If 343 do a Horde mode in Halo 6 with what I've said in this video, having the main enemy be the Flood would be fan-fucking-tastic, and honestly the absolute best way to do it in my opinion. The problem right now with Firefight is that you are always the one seeking out the enemy, you always go to them, whereas in every other good Horde mode that I've ever played, Zombies, Killing Floor, Left 4 Dead Survival, Gears Horde, the enemy is always coming at you. You're always on the defense. This trait only serves to enhance the survival aspect of these modes too. The enemy is hunting you, and you have to survive that instead of the other way around. And the Flood is the best enemy, bar none, to fit that. If you make the main enemy types, the zombies of Firefight if you will, combat forms that sometimes have guns but mostly just use their whips, infection forms and carrier forms, then they're always going to be coming at you fast, which only plays into the survival aspect of the mode, like I've already said. And then, as the rounds progress, start throwing in pure forms and other new forms of Flood as special boss rounds. Flood Juggernaut, please. Or maybe have them as unique boss zombies like the Flesh Pound from Killing Floor or the Panzer from Zombies. Either way, throw in these pure forms and other new forms as a way to spice the rounds up so you're not just killing combat forms over and over and over again. It would work so damn well if every now and then, for example, a tank spawned and you had to coordinate your fire on it, or a ranger spawned and you had to get into cover to dodge its spines, and then when it's not shooting, pop out of cover and kill it. Oh, and one last thing. Please have the final boss fight in the final map be a Gravemind. It's like my fucking dream to fight a Gravemind, so 343, please make my dreams come true. So that's all I've got to say for this video, because if I go on any longer, the video is just gonna be way too fucking long. I mean, hell, it's already too long. I do have far more to say on this though, so if you do like this idea and want to hear more stuff about it and more ideas, then let me know in the comments, and also leave a like, so if this video gets like, I don't know, 1,000 likes, I'll make another video on this topic. Thanks a lot for watching guys, I really appreciate it, especially if you stuck around till the end, and I'll catch you next time.